Hello again, everyone. Deflect here for But Fair Gaming. I want to bring you a new version 2.0 of the Devastation Evoker. Sorry, I was playing a little bit of Preservation earlier. Just trying to get some healing down. I've been really fixing my weak aura here. It's more one I liked. It was basically the same model as I used for my priest, but I have fixed it for Devastation. But getting right into it, if you haven't seen my previous video, it still holds. The previous video does still great damage. This will just tweak your single target a little more. I was sleeping on a talent that I didn't think would be as good as what it is, so I will get into the talents. But if you haven't done so, definitely hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and check out the Twitch and Patreon if you want to help out the channel more, and the link will be in the description. I'll also leave a link for this build in the description, so you can just copy and import it. And like I said, I'm almost done my weak aura, but it's not quite done yet. I got things working almost perfect, but it still needs some tweaking, so that'll be at a later date as well. Jumping right into it, a lot of people are saying that they think they need haste versus crit and vice versa. Mastery is definitely going to be one of your big spells. I value crit slightly higher than haste, but they're very, very close. Basically, you want to get your crit up to, I would say, around 26%, and dump some more into haste to get it about even as well. I'm going to be pushing that even higher in the Dragonflight expansion, but for right now, that's what I'm kind of shooting for. Kind of an even mix between crit and haste. Later on, you will definitely want verse, because for wearing mail, they are very squishy like hunters. I am Venthyr for just the sole purpose. I was farming Famu. So I picked Theodar. It has mastery as the buff. I am using 2 of the potency conduits, the mastery one and the covenant one. The reason is it gives you an extra %, and the covenant helps you get some more damage out. That will all change in a week and a bit, so don't really be too concerned about that. Same with the legendaries. I am running the Unity legendary and also Echo of Honor. Anyway, whatever it is, this legendary can be picked up if you're revered with Night Fae, so you can buy it either in Orboros at the Enclave, or you can buy it at the Night Fae in Ardenweald. Getting into the talents, this is where I switched out just a few of them, and I'll give you the reasoning behind it. I switched some on the left, some on the right. I'll start with the left, but I was sleeping on one of the big talents, and that would be Hoarded Power. Sleeping on this one, did not think it was going to be as good as what it is. This is the thing that allows you to AoE with the same approximate same AoE damage from my testing. I tested it a lot, but then you can use scintillation, and that will allow you for more single target. I always knew this was great single target, but you're always giving up AoE abilities, so this actually covers your AoE side. It's amazing. I definitely recommend this one. But going down the left side, there are some things that you don't need and do need. I took recall now. After you activate deep breath, you can go right back to where you were standing. Very, very useful, so you don't have to turn, try and aim again. Just aim the first time, launch your deep breath, and then recall as soon as you land. So you're back to where you were. If you were set up properly at the beginning, you're going to be set up again. Quell, as always, going down your magic damage buff. Basically, they're all kind of choice. Hover is phenomenal. Hover is, I can't get enough of using hover. It's so great. It's almost always on cooldown when I play. But it is great to have a secondary charge, so definitely went into that one. And Fire Breath causes your next living flame to strike 1 additional target per empower level. Very good as well. Usually you're fire breathing only at 1 empower, which lets you strike 1 additional. If you do hold it longer, you will get more for your next living flame, but in AoE you're using a 0 strike anyway, so kind of catch-22, but that's what I took. Tip the Scales is phenomenal, so Tip the Scales comes into huge play for when you're starting your pulls, and I'll show you that later on. But the big changes on this side, I went down, took all the regular ones. You need Dragon Rage, that's a must. Disintegrate deals 16% more damage, that's great. It works well in single target, and again with scintillation, really stacks well. Essence Burst stacks 2 times, you can have 2 Essence Bursts. Eternity Surge and Shattering Star hit twice as many targets. Essence abilities reduce the remaining cooldown of Eternity Surge. Great to have. Your blue damage increases the damage of your next pyre by 5%, stacks 20 times. Very, very good to do. But I also switched and started taking deep breaths. So I had the 1 minute cooldown also to help with that AoE because I was losing a bunch on the left side. So this actually helps with the hoarded power, and it's a wash come at the end. The extra crit is phenomenal. And while channeling disintegrate, your fire breath on the target deals 100% more damage. Another phenomenal ability. Now, getting into it, I have done a lot of dummy testing here. So 3 or less targets, you will stick with the original plan and original rotation. That would be stacking your pyre to 20 before launching it. That will do the most damage. That will net you the best. 4 or more, this is a 5-pack. You want to dump pyre as it comes up, so you don't want to be sitting on pyre. That will do your most damage. Now there's 2 different rotations, one when you have Dragon Rage, one when you don't. Best gear will be a trinket. I don't have one with a 2-minute CD. I have a 2-minute 30 CD, does not line up well. Boon of the Covenant, you can macro right into Dragon Rage. You can cast it before it's off the GCD. You make a simple macro if you like. It doesn't take much to just make one that says cast Boon first, use your trinket if you have it, and then cast Dragon Rage. Very, very simple, very easy. That will create the highest burst for you. So if I'll do a non-Dragon Rage one first, and then I will do a Dragon Rage AoE after. So a non-Dragon Rage AoE 4+ mob attack would look something like, well, we're going to say Tip the Scales is on cooldown with Dragon Rage because they're both 2-minute CDs, so probably combine them together. But saying it is on cooldown, your opener would be Eternity Surge into a Fire Breath, then a Deep Breath, and then I usually recall back, and then you start your rotation with Azure Strikes and Pyres. So you'll use Pyre on cooldown on 4+, and it would look something like this. So non-Dragon Rage 4+ mobs, Eternity Surge, Dragon Breath or Fire Breath, Deep Breath, I recall, and then I start into the Azure Strikes and the Pyres. And you can see Pyres still cool down once they're on there and they're done proccing, making sure now that Eternity Surge is back up, I cast Eternity Surge back into Azure to Pyres. And then I would cast Breath now since it's up. But that is your AoE rotation on 4+. You can see you crushed DPS right away. It was 44 before we leapt away. So it does very, very good AoE damage. Now, getting on to the Dragon Rage version of this is slightly different because you will Dragon Rage, which will cast your boon at the beginning. So it'll go boon, Dragon Rage. I have it macroed, so it'll cast those 2. Then it'll be Tip the Scales, do an Eternity Surge, and then it will be your standard rotation. So it would look a lot like Dragon Rage, Tip the Scales, Eternity Surge, Fire Breath, into your Deep Breath, recall, Pyre, and then into your Azure Strikes and Pyres. And you can see we're getting procs, so you just want to keep pyring. And keep pyring, and Eternity Surge is up, so you want to keep Eternity Surge, and then you would pyre the last one, and you would see your breath would be up. So that would be something you would do there. And we were, mid 60s on that, so it does very, very well. You can see the boost, the rage, it kept up pretty high until everything had to be refreshed, and it slowly comes down. So it's a very good burst AoE, especially when you have Dragon Rage. So for single target, there is, again, 2 different rotations, one with Dragon Rage, one without. Again, if you have Dragon Rage, you'll use Tip the Scales with Fire Breath. Don't use it with Eternity Surge. This is nothing for a single target. It won't boost anything, but getting a full Fire Breath will be you know, a little more advantageous than using it with Eternity Surge that does nothing. So I will show you the non-Dragon Rage one first, assuming these are both on cooldown. You would start it with an Eternity Surge, 2 Fire Breath, Deep Breath, and then Living Flame and Disintegrates. So Eternity Surge to 1 because that's all you need. Fire Breath to 1. Go with your Deep Breath. I clicked on the wrong area. I recall. You can Disintegrate and Living Flame. And then Disintegrates on cooldown. And fill with Living Flame. And then when you come back off cooldown with Eternity Surge, you'll be putting Eternity Surge back up. And then filling with Living Flame. Breath when it comes off cooldown. And back to Disintegrates. So it does very good single target as well. With this build, you know, I was 16-1 before I left away, 15-1 by the time the Dragon Breath finally clears off. It'll be a while. If you have to move, don't forget to use Hover, because Hover you can cast both Disintegrate and Living Flame while moving around. So very good to use as well. Getting into the Dragon Rage version of this, instead of Living Flame as a filler, you'll be using Azure Strikes because that will proc your Essence Burst. And other than that, it would look a lot similar, but it would be Dragon Rage. You can do Eternity Surge, tip the scales, do a Breath, and then Disintegrates. Azure Strike, Disintegrate. You can do back-to-back Azure if you want the double stack right away. And then Azure. Watching your cast time because you still need a couple seconds to get the double Azure off before the end. So you have 2 Essence Bursts. And then 1 last Disintegrate. Getting back into your Eternity Surge. So that would be an example of it. You can throw Breath in first for the loaded up Mastery as well. Once you hit the Dragon Rage and your Eternity Surge and Fire Breath. And then you could go Deep Breath like usual and then recall back to Disintegrates, Azure Strike, Disintegrates. But that will net you a ton of single target DPS. If you have any questions on this, just put a comment below. I'll try and help you out with any ones you have. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, check out the Twitch page, follow me on Twitch. I can stream a bunch of this. Evokers doing keys now, so it's a lot of fun on Evokers. And if you have anything else, just let me know. Deflect, Firm but Fair Gaming. We'll see you in the next video.